Hello and welcome back to another episode of Best Quote. So in this episode, we're talking about a quote by Agathon. Agathon said that even God cannot change the past. Now, this is a very bold statement, and a statement that people are going to hear and they'll frown and be like, why will you put God to this? Why will you attach God to it? Because, we've known everything about God is perfect. We know that God is omnipresent, and everything you can attach to God being, the bigger power, the higher power. So, but when you also look at it critically, you might want to accept and believe that yes, even God cannot change the past. So, but that doesn't mean that certain things cannot be, be in such a way that you will not really know that they were that way before, but eventually you find out in the future that certain things were in a certain way before, which you didn't actually see or notice, but you might get to realize it in the future. So that might be a way of saying that the past can be changed, but in a plain man language, in a normal understanding, we want to assume and agree that yes, even God cannot change the past. So, but in conclusion, what is that trying to say? For me, that is trying to say that whatever has happened in the past has gone. The past is the past. The future remains the future. So if you can't change the past, what can you change? You can change the future. So whatever thing you might have done in the past, whatever mistake you might have done in the past, whatever thing you might have gotten yourself involved in the past that is not pure, that is not good, that is not in alignment with what you want or desire for yourself, well, good for you. That is now in the past, and the past is gone. You can change it. The only thing you can change is the future. So right now, this particular moment, you should start working and thinking about how can you make the future better? How can you make today better? Then how can you make the future better? Whatever thing has happened in the past has gone. Yes, I know, of course, a lot of things that we do in the past get to haunt us in the future. A lot of things that we do in the past might actually hamper or disturb or actually stop us from getting certain things in the present and in the future, which is very bad. And that is why you have to be careful about what you do in the present, because whatever you do today, tomorrow it becomes the past. So you have to be careful about what you do every single day, knowing that whatever you do today, you can't change it. If today is gone, today is gone. Whatever mistake you've made today, you've made it. But a lot of times we make mistakes because we are young. We make mistakes because we are naive. We make mistakes because we are not educated in a particular field. So it might actually be said that yes, maybe it's susceptible to make mistakes. Yes, don't be afraid to make mistakes, but you should be careful the kind of mistakes that you make, because some mistakes are actually very bad. Some mistakes can actually haunt you till you pass. That is why you have to be careful, and that is why knowledge is very important. To seek knowledge, to seek to understand, to learn to understand. Read biographies, learn to understand from others, get mentors, get coaches, because these people have lived in the past. They have their mistake already. Some people have already made that mistake. So find those that have made that mistake that you are worried about making and learn from them. I think that is that's like a cheat code for the future, a cheat code for you to live a better life. Think about those, for example, whatever field you want to go into, you think about those in that field and go study them. You don't even have to know them directly. You might just, read their books, watch their videos, listen to their podcasts, and then you hear them telling their stories about the mistake they did in the past. And then once you notice those mistakes, you try to avoid them. And even as a person, and that is why sometimes it's good to have mentors, very, very good to have mentors. But I know a lot of people are not exposed to that mentality of having a mentor. And even when you see it online, you see people calling a lot of money. Like if you want to get a mentorship, you have to pay a lot of money, and people are scared from it. People are shying away from it because of the initial investment involved in it. What is it going to tell me that I don't know? What is it going to tell me that I can't read in a book? But there are a lot of knowledge that are not documented. There are a lot of knowledge that are not there, that you can't find there in books, that you really have to meet someone one-on-one. Yes, I know YouTube is very great. I know podcasts are very great. Reading book very great. But still, there's still something about having a personal connection with someone you can pick up the phone and call when you are in doubt of something, when you're in doubt of making a business decision, when you're in doubt of making a relationship decision, when you're in doubt of making a financial decision, whatever. There's someone you can call. But of course, if you still can't get that, I get it. A lot of us don't get that. A lot of us can't afford that. But you can still use the YouTube method. You can still use the podcast method. You can still use the book method. The important thing is to seek that knowledge. It's important to seek knowledge, because even God cannot change the past. Now, I'm not saying this to slight on God. It's even weird for me to say this, but I just have to say it just so that I can pass the message across. So since you know that even God cannot change it, so what about you? That means there's nothing you can even do at all. Don't even think about you changing the past, because if God can't do it, then why are you even thinking about doing it? Why are you thinking that it's possible? So the only thing, and I know people who make mistakes and then they try to, paint it in a good light, saying, okay, this was that. Man, you made a mistake. You effed up. Move on. The important thing is, understand that you effed up back in the days. Understand that you made a mistake yesterday and then amend it. Because if you still don't know that you made a mistake, if you still don't believe that you made a mistake, if you still don't agree that you made a mistake, that means there is high probability that you will still do it again, and that becomes a problem. Because they say being, like someone repeating the same thing and expecting a different result is actually a good definition of a fool. You can't be repeating the same mistake and expecting to get a good result in the future. So as long as you find out, as long as you eventually discover, or someone lets you know that was a mistake, that was an effing up, is on you. The onus is on you to take charge and, of course, right your ways from now, this very moment. So whatever thing you are doing, of course, me, myself, whatever thing you find yourself doing or that you've done, that you're not in alignment with who you have become. Because as we continue to grow, we continue to develop in our thinking, we continue to develop in our emotion, we continue to develop in our psychological understanding of how human works and how the world works, how the system works, and then we continue to be adapting ourselves and then growing mentally. That's why you see some people talking about, maybe they say they don't have a connection with someone because they want someone that is matured mentally, because they themselves, they might have gone through that, the bad phase, the phase of making a lot of mistake, and they get to a point in time where they now say, okay, a lot of things I was doing in the past, especially when it comes to adults, a lot of things I was doing in the past were very wrong. Now I know, but I wouldn't have known if I hadn't done that mistake. So sometimes mistakes are actually good things for you to learn from. But when you are not able to learn from your mistake, that is the problem. Even God cannot save you by then. And that is why if you make mistakes in your finance, it's going to cost you a lot into your future. If you make mistakes in relationships, it's going to cost you a lot into your future. If you make mistakes in your investments, it's going to cost you a lot. Of course, there are some mistakes that you can still amend, especially when it comes to financing. You can still amend that. When you make a bad business decisions, probably you can still get around and make a good one that will change that one. It doesn't mean that will be changed, but it means that the future will be better for you. But if you make, in terms of relationship, you can actually make little mistakes in relationship and still get away with that. But when you make mistakes, let's say in terms of real relationship, like I'm talking about marriage, it becomes a very big problem, because people going through divorce, a lot of people are going through divorce, and when you say to them, I tell you, man, I made a mistake. I put something else first. When I was thinking about marriage, when I was going to this relationship, I was thinking something different. I wasn't thinking logically. I was, in love, infatuation, and everything. So that can be a very, very big mistake that can lead you to, you see people lose their properties. You see men losing properties. You see men going to the streets, becoming suddenly poor because of divorce and all of that. So that's a very, very costly mistake. You see women having a lot of body count. No, I'm bringing this up now. Now, this is going to cost a lot to what we are talking about, the body count in women and all of that. Of course, you don't have to display that, but when people find out that you have a lot, you have been run through, people are reluctant to deal with you, and people that are doing OnlyFans, people are doing porn. You see, when people have seen that, when people notice that you do that, they want to run away from you. That becomes a mistake that you've done. A lot of people still don't know. A lot of young girls are still going to, young guys are still going to it without knowing the repercussion of it in the future. In the future, they will not be able to keep a good relationship anymore, because whoever you are finds out that you've done that in the past. It's a no-no. It's going to be difficult for anyone to sustain a relationship with someone that has been in such a business. So it becomes a problem. And that is why I say some mistakes can actually be righted. Some mistakes will not cost you. Of course, they will cost you a lot initially, but you can always get around it and get things working. Again, especially when it has to do with financial mistakes. But when it has to do with relationship mistake, when it has to be your sexual mistake, when it has to do with mistake that has to do with your own body, with your own personnel, with things that cannot be taken back, it's going to cost you a lot, and maybe right into the future till you pass, it might continue to cost you. So it's a big problem. But so the important thing is to find out whatever you are doing now, know if you're actually making a mistake, find out if what you've done before there is a mistake, and then correct it. And of course, important thing again, most important for me in this particular quote or in this particular episode will be finding a mentor. If you can't afford a mentor, look for those you can learn from free platforms like YouTube, Instagram, podcasts, books. Those are places that you can learn from without having to actually pay someone to become your mentor directly. So that is what I have for this quote, man. Let me know what you think about this particular quote. Let me know what you think about this ideology. Of course, in the comment section. If you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on podcast, thank you so much. If you have the time, please check it out on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you, and see you in the next one.